Hello, my name is Travis Newville. I live and work here at Shambhala Mountain Center, where we're going to be hosting a program called Mindful Hiking, Waking Up in the Wild. It'll be taking place from July 31st through August 3rd, and will be led by Peterson, who is a psychotherapist, wilderness guide, and Shambhala meditation instructor. He's been facilitating nature-inspired programs focused on individual transformation, creative group processes, and mindfulness since 1996. He also teaches mindfulness-based stress reduction and is adjunct faculty at Naropa University. We're so glad that Kay has volunteered to join us for discussion today. Kay, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Travis. Thank you. How are things on my favorite mountain, Shambhala Mountain?
Very beautiful. Actually, we've had a lot of rain recently, and there's a lot of snow melt happening. So the land is especially lush and green, and all sorts of flowers popping up. So spring is like in the air and on the ground and in our hearts.
Nice. Coming alive, huh?
Yeah, and actually, I went on a nice long hike yesterday and saw some corners of the land, and saw the spring coming up, and of course just connected with that peace and relaxation and connection that happens whenever I go for a walk in nature. And I think that a lot of people get this, where they'll go for a hike or connect in nature and be immersed, and then come out of that and quickly sort of lose touch. And so we need to go back in and reconnect. And I wonder what you have to say about how we may carry how that experience that we have when we're hiking may translate to our enrich our lives when we're not able to be immersed in the wilderness.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's something, isn't it, that we kind of instinctually know that there's something that nature offers us that promotes health and well-being. I think, when we go out into nature, we join a long tradition of people who have sought some kind of vision or answers to questions or solutions for problems in the natural environment, because we somehow know that there's something there for us, and carrying that on into, or having a sense of how to do that, and then take what we glean from those experiences back into our daily life, can be a really challenging kind of a situation. I don't know about you, but for me, I can make all kinds of plans, have a wonderful trip or a hike out in nature, and then a few hours after I've returned home, all of the lists of things that I need to do and the busyness of my life starts to creep back in, and it feels like all of that peace and calm that I felt when I was out in my natural surrounding is suddenly lost. And I think that part of the reason why I love to do retreats or programs like the one that we're talking about today is that I think when you combine mindfulness awareness practices or meditation, mindfulness meditation, with time spent in nature, we actually can train our minds to really more deeply understand and connect with what the experience is that we're having out in nature, connect with the natural world, and also connect with a part of ourselves that knows how to focus, can tap into naturally what's underlying all of that busyness that we often are mostly noticing in our daily lives. That is our true nature. It's fundamentally relaxed and calm and spacious and open and compassionate. So yeah, this kind of program really integrates the practice with our time spent in nature in a way that helps us be able to take that, to remember that when we get back in our home environment when it's busy, so that when we're, if you're anything like me, I live in an urban environment. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, jumping on the train to commute to work each day. There are many opportunities, right? So I'm looking out the window and seeing a tree pass by, or I'm stepping on or stepping off of the train. At any moment, I can just pause and feel the fresh air or the sunshine on the side of my face. and be brought back to the present moment in a way that happens because I've trained my mind with mindfulness meditation to do that, to remember.
You mentioned something that's really interesting that's along the lines of when we're walking in nature, when we're immersed in the natural world, like clarity or insight about either a situation that's happening with us or about us as human beings in general, seems to arise a lot in those sort of in that sort of situation. And I think that personally, like a long time growing up, I was conditioned to think that like answers to whatever's going on in my world or answers to any conundrums are going to come from my brain. But mysteriously, there seems to be some connection with some wisdom maybe coming out of the natural world or something. And it's kind of a mysterious process, and I wonder if you have anything to say about it.
It is a mysterious process somewhat. And what's interesting enough, I think, at this point in our evolution is that science has kind of caught up to, there's a lot of research that's been done recently to really help show us what's actually happening in our biochemistry, how we learn, how we can actually glean from the natural environment that we're inherently connected to, a part of, how to sort of live our daily lives, answer those questions, if you will. So there's some research that's been done in the last 5 years or so that really sort of shows how people, when they're shown pictures of natural environments, particularly very lush and green environments, respond naturally with a lot of empathy and warmth and love, much like when they're shown pictures of their loved ones. And when shown pictures of urban environments or man-made environments, it triggers the amygdala, or this part of the brain that stimulates like a stress hormone. And we naturally, feel some disparity or some discomfort around that. So it's like there's something inherent in us that understands that in a natural environment, we can relax, we can rest, we can just be. And another example that I was thinking about just in terms of what we know, what we come to know from our connection to the natural environment is that all along the way through time, we've been mimicking, if you will, what happens in the natural environment to sort of further our evolution, to develop new technologies. So, the Wright brothers were watching pigeons when they figured out how to build those first planes and to get us up in the sky and flying. These screens that we look at have become clearer and brighter because of studying how light refracts from butterfly wings. So all of these things, are just this way that we inherently know and connect to nature teaches us, and it's teaching us all the time. Sometimes we're more aware than others.
Yeah, those of us who are meditation practitioners, part of the what we're doing when we're on the cushion is familiarizing ourselves with states of being that are more relaxed, more compassionate. Because why it's called practice is to sort of down and practice being that way. And it occurs to me that being in nature, bringing up those feelings that you were describing of warmth and empathy, about how there's like a parallel there. Like spending time in nature maybe allows us to become familiar with those ways of being, and so that we may have more access to them, would you say, when we're not in nature?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a good question, or well put by you, that these are inherent qualities that we all possess. It's not anything that we're getting from the outside. So it's like our time spent in nature triggers what is part of who we naturally are. And it's having those experiences then and coming to really know those parts of ourselves with time spent in nature, particularly in combination with practices that help us focus on that, like mindfulness meditation, that 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 brings it to the forefront of our consciousness in our daily lives. Then.
And so in this retreat that you're going to be leading at Shambhala Mountain Center, you know, both will be occurring. Is that right? Time meditation, formal sitting meditation, and then also time nature?
Yep, it's a nice kind of full weekend program that's a balance, I think, of sitting, standing, walking, or hiking meditation, and actually even lying down meditation as well. And it's a combination of mindfulness and awareness practices, meaning we're really learning to train our minds to focus on the things that we want them to focus on when we want them to focus on them, and also to sort of just open up to our bigger panoramic awareness that is available to us all the time, you know, and taking in signals from our environment, waking up to the present moment through our sense perceptions, what we see, what we hear, what we smell when we're out there. So we'll spend time actually inside doing maybe some of that sitting meditation, just really sort of grounding and settling our minds to the extent that they will, and then slowly, gradually move outside, introduce movement to the practice, and then move outside into the natural environment and wake up our sense perceptions and work with all of it. So work with not only what we tend to spend a lot of time working with, our minds, our thinking minds, as you were mentioning earlier, but also sort of tuning into what's happening on a heart level, as well as our senses. And so the program is a combination of those practices, as well as just a lot of time just hanging out and enjoying each other, you know, creating a little community within the bigger community of Shambhala Mountain Center, and you know, a little microcosm of the whole world. So it's a very sweet social, in both the kind of practicing together and hanging out at meals and things like that, and also in moving or hiking, sometimes in silence. So we'll be spending time hanging out together in a way that's, you know, quiet, essentially, which is a very powerful way to be together and to connect, I think, as well.
It sounds delightful and nourishing, and looking forward to having the smaller community within the larger community enjoying all that together. Is there anything else at all about the program that you haven't mentioned that you would like to?
Well, I think that sometimes people wonder if coming to the mountains, particularly if they don't live in a mountainous area, and coming to elevation and going out on hikes might be too much for them physically. And I think what I would emphasize just to anyone who's considering the possibility of this kind of program is that this is not a program that's about going higher or farther or faster or trying to keep up with someone else, but rather it's more about just being where we are in nature. And so we'll decide what that looks like in terms of our walks or our hikes, go where we want to go and at the pace that we want to go, based on what we learn about each other when we come together as a group for the program. So it could look like just about anything in the weekend, and pretty much anybody is capable physically. So yeah, come join us.
Sounds like pretty much an awesome weekend in the natural world with some, you know, great guidance available.
Thank you, Travis.
Community.
You could join us too.
Yeah, I hope to, for sure. Once again, that program is going to be July 31st through August 3rd. I'm remembering because I have to look at my calendar to see if I can do it. I hope so. And it's called Mindful Hiking, Waking Up to the Wild. And this has been Kate Peterson, who'll be leading the program, who has been speaking with me today. And I invite everybody who's listening or watching this, consider coming up for this and checking out the land in the summer with Kay. And well, thanks to everybody for tuning in. listening and watching. And Kate, thanks so much again for taking the time.
Thank you.
Looking forward to having you on the land this summer.
I'm looking forward to being back. Thanks.
Well, okay, well, we will be signing off here, and tune in again soon for more discussions like this. Bye.